Hi everybody, I'm Phil Fatica, and welcome back to the Millcreek Government Channel. We've got a woman with us today who is from the Erie VA Medical Center. Her name is Sarah Gudgeon. Please say hello. She is the Public Affairs Specialist. We couldn't find a more topical series of conversations to have with a person who works directly with veterans right here locally. 38th and Old French Road, is that correct? You can see, welcome to your Erie VA, and I don't know if you can see down below that. Please give us feedback on your experiences and any suggestions you may have. Sarah, we're going to talk for about 4 years here, so don't be afraid to go on, okay? So I think I'm taking a guess that the VA here locally been around about 60 years. Was that fair to say that?
Correct. We've been around
same location too?
Same location,
yeah.
Yep. We were actually doing under construction in about 1950, 1951, and opened our doors then. So we've been a part of the community for more than 60 years.
Generally speaking, let's just address maybe the veterans situation today as you see it, and we have so many people coming from the Middle East, and you got 9 years to discuss this because this is such a topical idea that is going around about how they're being treated or not being treated. Your view on that? Go ahead.
Yeah, I have to say locally, and I'm very thankful for all the veterans that have stood behind us during these hard times. Locally, our reputation is solid and has been built on the positive experiences that our patients have had. So we serve about 23,000 veterans just in our local area at the Erie VA Medical Center, and then our 5 community-based outpatient clinics, which are basically satellite clinics for the VA.
They're located outside of Erie County?
Correct, yeah. We actually have one in Ashtabula, Ohio, Crawford, McKean, Venango, and Warren counties.
Big reach.
So big reach, absolutely. So that's a large catchment area that we have, and we're always looking to recruit more patients. But throughout everything that's been going on, veterans is, like you said, a very hot topic right now. And I have to say, our reputation in the community has withstood a lot because of the care that we provide. At the Erie VA Medical Center, patients have great access to primary care services, specialty care services, and behavioral health, which is a very hot topic too.
Sure is.
We have same-day access for our veterans in behavioral health care and mental health illnesses. So I do want to stress that, and that's been a really important thing for us moving forward.
Yeah, I'm a product of the Vietnam era, and when we came back, when my friends came back, it was they were treated way so differently, you know, than let's say today. And you've touched on some of the services that are available through the VA and also through other agencies around town. Do you interact with other agencies, or is it strictly if I'm retired corporal, captain, whatever, I have to come to you for those behavioral health services and you can recommend somebody, or do they happen directly right at your place?
That is a great question. We have staff directly at our place. We have become, so, I mean, since we were established in 1951 here locally, like you said, when Vietnam veterans returned, they didn't have a great welcome. And I am very happy to say that I have heard directly from many Vietnam veterans that they've seen a 360-degree turn in what services we provide and how they're treated at the VA. And for me, that is music to my ears to hear those who have had terrible experiences coming back saying, hey, this is a way better system. You know, we'd rather come to the VA than outside care. And we do have, especially behavioral health services, and I'm very glad you brought up the Vietnam experience, because our Vietnam veterans were instrumental in the services that we have today, especially for behavioral health. They spoke up and said, hey, we're not getting these services, our needs aren't being met. And at that time, they experienced shell shock, which today we know as post-traumatic stress disorder. So by our Vietnam veterans speaking up, saying we need better services, we need better health care, that has opened up so many doors for our returning veterans. The services and the experience that they have today are made possible in large part by Vietnam veterans speaking up for what they wanted.
Well, we said earlier that the VA unit is located at 38th and Old French Road, and if you happen to be driving around and you have nothing to do the next couple of days or so, when you drive by, you're going to see some changes underway. I think there's 3 of them. Let's start with, and you can tell us about them. Ambulatory surgery, a parking garage, and a community living center. Let's start with ambulatory surgery. which means what?
Which means, I know, that's a great question. A lot of times we get that. It is same-day surgery, so basically walk-in surgery.
Okay.
We don't have overnight stays. We don't. We'll partner with some of our other hospitals to provide more intensive and urgent type of surgeries like that. But for podiatry, for general surgery, urology type of services, we have right there on site. We do colonoscopies, endoscopies, everything right on site there. And this new ambulatory surgery center, it is state of the art. It is going to be a lot easier access for our patients. Currently it's located on our 3rd floor, but this gives us a little extra space to grow in our surgical services that we actually provide there. So we're really excited. This project is well underway, and we're looking at opening it this October of 2015 to November at some point there.
And you have a parking garage, because that's always an issue.
Yes, it's our long-awaited parking garage, which is going to provide an extra 280 so parking spaces. So our veterans have been asking for this for a long time. So we are so excited to be in the works and looking at opening this up very soon, even possibly this winter to early spring. We're going to be opening it.
Okay, and the Community Living Center.
Yes. A lot of people don't know what this is. This is VA's term for our nursing home unit. Currently, we have 26 beds on our unit 4 there for nursing home type of services. And while that's in the main facility right now, we're actually looking at building a standalone building, Community Living Center, just to make it a more home-like environment for our patients and for our veterans. That's absolutely what they deserve. So having a standalone section where they can go outside, you know, they can have separate private rooms, they can have bigger community living areas. So when their families come in for birthday parties or something, we have that available for them. So we're really looking forward to this.
Are you as quote-unquote well-equipped as other VA centers throughout the country? I mean, of all of them, from pretty good to you don't want to go there. Where would you put Erie?
We are one of the top in the nation, and I will say this again. We are level 3 complexity, so we don't offer the wide range or the wide gamut of health services. So for intensive care, heart attacks, things like that, we will partner with some of our specialty clinics in the area just to make sure our veterans are getting great care. But I'll tell you, Erie has long maintained a great reputation for providing excellent care, great access to care. And I'll tell you what, our homeless veterans program is actually ranked as one of the top 5 in the nation for all the services.
Say that again.
Our homeless veteran program, they are ranked as one of the top 5 homeless veteran care teams in the nation among all of the VA medical centers in the country.
Kudos to you.
Absolutely.
Kudos to you. I'm going to come back to something that you touched on and I asked you about. You completed the behavioral health clinic last year, I believe it was. And we all know that the traumatic stress disorder, the suicidal thoughts that people have, the attempts, the depression that comes with all of that, these are all issues that appear to be not only on the rise, but spoken about now. And it's kind of somewhat cathartic, because if you had a broken elbow, a broken bone, and it was sticking through your skin, you'd go, I need help. You know, instead of going, oh, I'm okay, nobody needs to know about my personal life. That I think is a healthy attitude. So again, I want to come back to the types of programs and services you offer those who are struggling with mental or emotional trauma. One of them is individual and group therapy. How does that work?
So it depends, whatever you're being treated for. And the top 3 most common symptoms or diagnoses that we see in our behavioral health clinic are depression, anxiety, and post-traumatic stress disorder. And you really hit the nail on the head with saying, you know, you can see a broken arm, you can see physical issues, but these are invisible wounds of war, as we call them. So post-traumatic stress disorder is one of the biggest ones that we are seeing today. So individual and group therapy, anytime veterans are experiencing any mental health issues, we always encourage them to call, and we'll try and fit them with the best programs that we have. For group therapy, that might not be appropriate for everybody, but for a lot of our veterans, especially our Vietnam veterans, they're finding how beneficial group therapy can be, learning to be in the community again. A lot of times veterans, especially if you have post-traumatic stress disorder, avoidance is a big avoidance of crowds, hypertension, you know, a lot of just hyperarousal. A lot of symptoms cause veterans to withdraw from their family and from their community. community.
Oh, yes.
So learning to have these group therapies and these community type of support programs is very important.
This is something that kind of shocks me, and I hope it also shocks you, is that there's a whole bunch of these the numbers are too large, homeless veterans, homeless, male, female, doesn't matter. How do you get to be homeless?
Economic status, losing jobs when you come home, especially from military leave. If you are experiencing post-traumatic stress disorder like we're talking about, that can spill over into other facets of your life. So in employment, in whatever that might be, we have a lot of homeless veterans, and honestly it's not acceptable for even one homeless veteran to come home and be living on the streets. So we have formed, again, we have one of the best homeless care teams in the country for the VA, where they provide emergency, temporary, and permanent housing to help veterans get back on their feet and become successful and become
Sufficient.
I'm trying to think, self-sufficient. That is so important. So,
well, all these things you're saying are just wonderful, wonderful things, and the people watching really appreciate them. And I don't mean to ask this as a poking question, but is the message getting to those people who really need to hear it? The homeless veterans, the PTSD candidates, the people who require the group therapy, the behavioral services. Do you feel your message is reaching them? I mean, it's getting better?
Great question. I would say so, because behavioral health clinic, that is one of the fastest growing populations and services that we've seen locally here in Erie. I'll tell you, a couple years ago, we were seeing about 400 or so homeless veterans. To today, we're seeing more than 700 homeless veterans. The great thing about this is we are getting the word out there, and we actually have an outreach specialist on our homeless care team who goes to soup kitchens in the morning or warming centers or reaches out to the other agencies in the community who do serve our homeless population. And she actively recruits them to get them in our system and to get that help for them. So while I think we're getting the message out there better than we were a couple years ago, we still haven't hit everybody. So one of the things we always encourage, anybody in the community, if you want a guest speaker from the VA, if you want more information about something, we are always happy to do community outreaches.
How do we get in touch with you?
Actually, you can call me directly for any of these community
And that number?
outreaches. That number, 814-860-2097.
Now, I know there's a website probably, but that wouldn't necessarily, the website services the service that the veterans would need, or what is the purpose of the website?
Our purpose of the website has pretty much any event information we have. It does have the capability to actually apply online for services even, and it just gives an overview of all the wide range of services that we're talking about today and gets a little more in depth with some of those.
And that website is?
That is www.erie.va.gov, and we're also on Facebook and Twitter.
Oh, you're everywhere.
We're everywhere.
Erie.pa.
Erie.va.gov, G-O-V.
Erie.va. Okay. Now, this is something which I think is sort of new for the veterans, and that is called the Veterans Justice Outreach, because I have somewhat familiarity with this, but tell us about the Justice Outreach.
So what we've been finding is a lot more of our veterans have been involved in the legal system and criminal justice in some way. And this can stem a lot of times from behavioral health issues that we're seeing. So what the VA has done nationally and locally, it's really grown, taken off in the past year, you're absolutely right, is we've been partnering, we have a Veteran Justice Outreach Coordinator who partners with some of the local criminal justice systems, and they're actually actively engaged in a veterans court, which just launched this past January. And what that is to make sure that these veterans who might be involved in the criminal justice system, that they're getting the help that they need. If they do need behavioral health issues, a lot of times that's not addressed in court, but they still need these. You know, that's not addressed in jails or prisons, wherever they might be. So this Veteran Outreach Coordinator actually goes out to those areas and meets with these veterans to see if VA services are appropriate for them and if they can help them through whatever criminal justice issues they're in at that point.
Yeah, I thought that was a wonderful, that was brought before us on County Council about the justice outreach and how they weren't being served.
Right, right.
The market digitally is changing with everything, and one of the things that you have to service those people who are perhaps, because you said you're not just in Erie County, but you can be in rural areas.
Correct.
You have the telehealth programs, which is?
This is a really unique non-face-to-face type of care that we're able to provide through technology.
Yeah.
So what happens is, depending on whatever specialty care, I'll use dermatology for an example. A lot of times, especially in Erie, you might be waiting a long time to get in to see a specialist. So what we do, we use video and teleconferencing type of technology to connect with, let's say, a dermatologist sitting at the West Virginia VA clinic there.
Yeah.
We use video capability to link patient and doctor who are in two different locations. So veterans are able to be seen faster, they get quicker results, and it's less travel time for our veterans. And telehealth, it is completely expanding, and honestly, this is where I see VA healthcare really moving.
Yes.
Because in addition to veterans even in Erie here who are waiting for a dermatology appointment, there are veterans in the rural outlying areas where location is a barrier to getting healthcare a lot of times.
Yeah.
So being able to provide these type of services or behavioral health services, education services, returning veteran counseling, everything like that, we're able to link with our satellite stations and even with other VAs to make sure that the rural veterans are getting that right health care at the right time in the right place.
Kind of like Skyping for your health.
Exactly, exactly.
Yeah.
It's a amped up version of that.
Well, using you, a woman, according to my notes, largest growing population in the military, women.
Women veterans.
And obviously, they require the services that would be perhaps a little bit different than the men, but not necessarily. So there is some gender-specific care for women, such as?
Such as, we're going to get uncomfortable here, but we're going to talk about PAPs. We're going to talk about general gynecology.
I'm the father of 2 daughters.
You're used to this, right?
Yes.
A lot of people think of the VA still as being your grandfather's VA, and it's not that anymore. We have really evolved to serve this large population of women veterans coming home. So in each of our community-based outpatient clinics that we're talking about, at the Erie VA and our primary care services, we have women's health champions to make sure that our women veterans are getting the right type of care that they need. We also have a women veterans program manager, Nadine Sitter, who is fabulous and helps women veterans come into the VA.
Nadine Sitter.
Nadine Sitter,
and
correct.
You can call her on that number you gave?
You can call her.
And you'll connect to Nadine Sitter?
Exactly.
Okay.
You'll connect to Nadine, ask for the Women Veterans Coordinator, and she's the woman that you'll get directed to. For a lot of women veterans, I think it can be intimidating coming into the VA, especially when there's that perception that, oh, you're just the spouse of a veteran. We're really working to change our culture of that and make sure women veterans are comfortable too. And Nadine is pivotal in this culture transformation.
Okay. I got to read this. This is a good one here, my notes. Something little known about the Erie VA, again located at 38th and Old French Road. It's the only medical center in town that has an inpatient hospice unit.
Correct.
Yeah, that's so important.
Absolutely.
Okay. Please tell us about that.
Absolutely. So we have a 13-bed inpatient hospice unit, as you were saying. End-of-life care is a very difficult topic to cover. A lot of people think that hospice is giving up, but it's really not. It's about comfort care for our veterans. And what we offer is a wide range of services, everything from similar to Make-A-Wish programs for our veterans in there, to behavioral health services too. Something I think that's different from the general population to our veteran population is when veterans are facing end of life, a lot of times they can have spiritual concerns and psychological concerns of what they did in the military and if that's going to affect them. So having that type of focus and even just that type of wide spectrum knowing when you're talking to a patient has really helped our veterans open up about this. And the program staff that we have in place are just phenomenal with our veterans. So anybody who is out there who is a veteran eligible for VA healthcare and interested in this, they are always encouraged to call the VA Medical Center, get more information. We even have a nurse educator who meets with families. If this is a conversation you want to have with a loved one, that can be difficult to bring up. So she is always willing to talk about that.
Yes, it can be extremely difficult.
Exactly.
Yeah, you're a full stop or full service business, aren't you?
We absolutely
are. And I
are.
don't mean to make light of that. You cover a lot. Well, a lot of people watching, this goes everywhere, Time Warner Cable does. And the obvious question I'm asking is, how can the people watching get involved in supporting local veterans?
Yeah, there are so many opportunities that we have. One of the best ways to do that is to become a volunteer. We have hundreds of volunteers who regularly stop by the VA and help with a variety of services, whether that is playing bingo with some of the guys in our nursing home or hospice unit, taking them out for road trips, becoming a DAV volunteer driver to help veterans get to and from their appointments. These are all important parts that we would not be able to provide without our volunteers. So if you're looking to get involved, please step up. We have a number of services, again, that you can do and become a part of.
Okay.
One of the other things, too, we do a number of outreaches. So if you want to help us spread the word about all these services, please contact us again, and we will come out gladly.
Before we started taping, I was telling Sarah that my uncle recently passed away. He was in the Army. He was a World War II veteran, and he took advantage of the services there, Purple Heart winner. Whatever it is, when we asked him about it, the only answer we got was, yes, I won the Purple Heart. Not a lot of conversation surrounding it, which I found was not unusual, because they just simply didn't talk about it. But the reason I'm saying that is that he took advantage of the programs for him. He went to school on the GI Bill. Is there something similar to that in place now, where the people returning can say, I need to go back to school and I need some financial help? I mean, I think the biggest debt in this country is college students. It's a trillion point $2 or $3. That's a number that's inconceivable. Are there services, educational services, that the VA can facilitate, or you can send them to someplace and go, look, you can go to school part-time, you can work part-time, you can go to school, that's what my uncle did.
Yeah.
School, work. Can you do that?
Absolutely, and that's a great benefit that we have. Now, that's not offered out of the healthcare side, so at the VA Medical Center, but it's offered through the VA. And one of your best points of contact would be the Veteran County Service Office down at the courthouse. Sharice Gibbs, she's fabulous with that. Or any veteran county service officers here can help get them connected.
And we've expanded that. That's a full-time. You walk in the courthouse, front door, turn right. After you go through the scanners, you turn, and there it is in front of you. It's not a hard find. So I'm happy to hear you say that.
Yeah, and that's a great opportunity to take advantage of, because I mean, our veterans gave so much for our country that it's really important for them to take advantage of these services that they well deserve. Yeah,
and that's leading to my next question here. We have a couple of minutes left. How can they take advantage of this? And are they taking advantage of it? Are you still going over the heads of some of them, and I don't want to go there, you wait too long, and the service I heard is not any good, and so they suffer in silence?
Well, and I certainly hope that that's not the case. Again, we do serve that 23,000 veterans, but that's only touching approximately a third of the veterans in our area. So we really encourage veterans to take advantage. If any veterans out there are experiencing issues or did have an issue, one of the things that I think our director of our current medical center has really come on board is doing town halls to get feedback of patients to see how we can improve our services. So I'd really encourage any veterans who have had issues in the past or who might be afraid of coming into the VA to give us a chance to talk to us. If you are having problems or experiencing any issues, contact us at the medical center. We really have transformed as a VA, and we're currently still nationally transforming and expanding services to better meet the needs of our veterans. But I think Erie's been ahead of the ballgame for a long time, which is why our access continues to be excellent.
The banner behind us pretty much, I think, puts the ownership on that. Welcome to your Erie VA, and the doctor and the patient there, and of course women also.
Absolutely.
We covered a lot of ground. Is there anything that we missed that you would like to add in the closing moments here?
I just want to thank the community of support that we have. Erie is unique in really gathering around our veterans and learning how to support us. So we have so many community agencies who have partnered with us hand in hand, and we really appreciate that. And to any veterans out there, thank them for their service.
And again, let me go through that. You have so many services which are available to the veterans: ambulatory, the Living Center, the individual group therapy, the homeless veteran support, the veteran justice outreach, the telehealth programs. And it just seems like it's getting growing bigger and better. And I think it's because politically people have recognized that for too long they were ignored. And it starts at the federal level, I'm sure, and comes down to the state level. And the money is being used wisely. I would hope you'd agree with that.
I would, especially at the VA. We're very cognizant of taxpayers' funding, but for our veterans, they deserve the best service. And all of our staff members, we have around 700 staff members, are truly devoted to the mission, which is providing health care for heroes. We believe in that mission, and I think that's why our reputation has remained very strong throughout all of this. I'm
sure it has, and as do, in fact, Sarah Gudgeon, in your part, coming out and giving the message to the people and saying, this is what we do. So, and if you're not taking advantage of what she's talking about, do.
Yes,
Phone number, a call?
Phone number, so our main clinic number is 814-868-8661. Again, all of our information is online at that www.erie.va.gov, or find us on Facebook or Twitter.
You're everywhere.
We are. We try.
Thanks for everything you do.
Thank you, Phil.
And thank you, everybody, for being with us. Again, we were talking about the veterans around us, living with you, fathers, brothers, grandfathers, aunts, uncles, everybody we know. Everybody we know. The services are available for you at the Erie VA Center. It's at 38th and Old French Road here in Erie. Thanks for joining us. Until next time, take care.
You're watching the Millcreek Government Channel, powered by WQLN Public Media.